So this is basically it. Let's talk a bit about B-rolls, how I use B-rolls. So I like to have the person I've interviewed. So I like talking heads, okay? Even though I'm a big fan of voiceover, and sometimes when I do shorts, I might just use only the voice, okay? If I do like a minute, I might just have the voice, the person talking with nice, engaging clips, like B-rolls of what the person is doing. I'm into framing this video, this picture here, and I like the way Ricardo, the person I interview, is sitting there on a stove with his horses on the back and the mountains. So that's why I don't mind keeping it. But of course, when you have all these cats here, what do you do? Otherwise, they're gonna result in jumps. So 3 ways actually to operate. One is to, of course, when you have the other camera, so now we have 2 angles. Let's put this up. You basically just select the other camera when you're jumping from one angle to another. So I go here on angle 1, select it. But there are certain problem with that. One is definitely not being able to take care of the other camera as much as you take care of the camera A, because if it's just a solo person filming, you basically gonna just leave camera B filming by his own, and something like this can happen. So if you can look at this shot here, this is not good. I'm not saying it's not usable, it might be, but there are lots of barn area here, all this white, there's no information here, so I can use it, but I don't think it's gonna match nicely with my Blackmagic footage. So what I would do instead of using that clip is probably just fill the top with B-roll. So let's go back to source, and here I'm gonna go to B-roll and let's see what we got. So we've got nice B-roll here. It's a bit shaky, but is Ricardo going towards his horse. That's a nice one, that's a nice introduction. I might want to use this when he's talking about horses though. So let's see. It's a bit shaky, I can see, shaky, but it's okay. So mark with high, or I can always like select the marking beginning from this timeline here. Let me show you. Okay, so here you can see better. So here is the mark of the beginning of the clip I've selected. So it goes like this, and then I'd say I like when you open the gate, but I'm shaking and I'm reframing, so definitely that's another cut. So just before that I'm gonna press O, and that's a cut for me. I don't want the audio, I just want to have the video, so I'm gonna drag it down and leave it here. But what happened? Now I'm thinking, did I film in 25 frames per second or 50 frames per second? As I use the PAL system, PAL, is European system of format recording, so basically this is 25 or 50. As I'm not sure, usually I film B-roll in 50 frames per second, so I slow it down, but I'm not too sure. So I'm just gonna select it and go to inspector, and it's gonna tell me, metadata, and it's saying 25 frames per second. Okay, so I didn't change the speed, the frame rate, and it's okay. Let's see how it plays.
And the sun and all the animals that are around here, like Klausy. and my idea when I moved here.
So I don't like this cut. It comes a bit earlier. Let's see try to put it a bit afterwards.
Around here, like Klausy. and my idea when I moved here, it was more a philosophical thing to get reconnected with nature and find an alternative way to live.
Okay, so that is not saying me that much, maybe I can have something better, because this to me looks something can be more specific when it talks about horses. And another tip, another suggestion is that you should try to use the B-roll footage you have, matching as much as possible the things the person you interviewed is talking about. So, for example, here I have lots of stuff, of course, with him with horses. He's riding a horse. He have horse stuff all over his room, and so this is really important. Okay, I'm probably gonna leave a better. I'm probably gonna leave more stuff about horses. So a longer, more clips about him talking on horses. Just because I have so much footage on this, and the footage needs to match. Like, I cannot really use this footage when he's talking about why consumism, for example. It can be, but it's not ideal. So maybe I can use drone footage for that reason, show more the countryside. But definitely horses I have, and I should use more of that footage. Okay, so here, look at this clip. This clip is a bit fast, so I can already tell this is a 50 frame per second clip. Let's inspect this. And voila, 50 frame per second. So another way you can do it is to select all the clips from here, then go right click and go to clip attributes. Here you have the video frame rate. Okay, you want to have these at 25, go on OK, and that is where you change the actual clips. So if you can look here, these are 25 frames per second, and this was 50 frames per second just a moment ago. So if you play it, it's in slow motion now. Okay, as you can see. So I want to use these. I'm gonna select the in and out of my clip. Oops, wrong key. In and out, and then forget about the sound. I don't want to drag the whole clip, because also now it's in slow motion, so the sound is pretty unusable, and we don't need that. Just gonna grab the clip and drag it somewhere, maybe here. I want to see how it looks. I'm gonna reduce this to have clear more on just one screen. And let's see.
And some natural, let's say natural philosophy towards horses was already there, you know, horse whisper and all the rest, you know. And then, but it was hard in Italy to find some good source. So
yeah, this is a bit wild. I don't think it's the right shots for this one. The way the horse move is a bit too much, too crazy. So I'm gonna select something similar. But you can just, you know, proceed like this and find the best beats, the beats that, even if they're not gonna stay there, just to have something on the timeline will help you to visually see it, because basically, you know, because that's the difference. Like when you have, even just to play something like that and then go back on it, it's fine, because then you'll see here that you're not gonna have that much of talking heads. You're just gonna have a little bit, and then you have something to break that constant one camera thing. So this is the second way. I told you there were 3 ways of like mixing up different angles, so covering up the cuts you just did. One is with B-roll, another one is with angles. So I haven't done the angles yet, but I will change the angles after B-rolls. Actually, that's what I do first. I put all my B-rolls, and then when I see I'm running out of good footage that I film, I go with B-rolls, because sometimes you might spend lots of time in thinking, okay, this is camera, let me show you, this is like camera A, then this is camera B, then this is camera A again, and then maybe you just think about, from what he's saying, you might just think that this is the perfect place to have this footage here, this clip, and then so there was no point maybe having camera B in there. You could just have camera A and camera B afterwards. So that's why I like to play with the camera A and B after I place B-roll. And the third thing is just cropping. So if you're filming 4K, 6K, anything more than 1080 basically, you can zoom in a little bit. To be fair, I always get along with the 1080 sometimes if I know that I'm not gonna do like use that footage for big TV, big screen or cinemas, and it's just gonna be in laptops, or even if I'm doing something for Instagram or Facebook, they're gonna maybe just gonna preview on phones, then I don't mind like zooming in even with 1080, of course, up to you. But bear in mind, every time you're zooming in, cropping from a 1080, you're losing quality. With 4K, it's fine. You can really go really like, let's say with this. So this is not a 4K. I haven't done that just because Blackmagic it is like so big, and for like 2 hours of filming, 1 hour and a half, whatever it is just gonna take lots of your space. And also I know that I had a big camera, and B-roll, so it was fine. But if I would only have one camera, I would go for 4K, that's for sure. And with 4K you can do something like this, so a crop like this. But let's say if I film this in 6K, even better, I could have go over 2 here, so even something like this. Of course, you're not used to the noise. This is also the grain from the color I did. Lots of layers with the color. But if you had 6K, you could have this, which is basically a very different shot from this, right? This is really like in. So there are lots of alternatives when it's about mixing clips together, but that's also depend on your style, on the length of your video, or what you're doing. But yeah, generally, if there is an advice I can give you is to, especially an advice to overcome the tiredness of listening to the same thing over and over again, is to just kind of write down some keywords on what are the actual inspirational bits, okay, the mission you want to take from the person you interviewed. Write these things down and make sure when you do these cuts that these things are gonna still be there, okay? Because sometimes it's pointless to have 10 minutes of the same topic if maybe that person already expressed that in a sentence, okay? But then just by adding other things, it creates a storyline which is more engaging, which I understand is difficult to realize that when you don't have when you haven't kept that many clips about the same topic. But if you write it down, okay, if you write down, let's say I want him to talk about horses. If you write down horses, and then it's like, okay, he's talking about horses. Don't know which point, don't know for how long, but we have it. Then you have at the end more a visual structure that can definitely help. And then of course just to go with the flow. So once you have all these keywords down, you play back the whole thing, and you have a feel if what you're listening is nice or not. A good way also to estimate if the video is getting boring, at least for me, is to pause it. Like, think of when you can find the time to pause it. So once you finish, as a viewer, if you play it back again and then think like, oh, I don't know, I have to go to the toilet, I have to go to make tea, when I can pause it, okay? So if you find that pause moment very easily, it means that maybe you can take something out. If you can't find it, if it's really engaging, if it keeps you there, it means that you've done a very good job. Now, I'm a fan of having pauses, breathing moments, so it doesn't have to be like boom, because you're not doing a minute, 2 minutes video, you're doing a longer video based on a longer interview. So because of that, you need to go down a little bit and up. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be interesting, okay? Those pause moments has to be in the right time when the person you interview say something so interesting that you need time to elaborate it, basically, and not to be too strong. Here in this timeline is still quite heavy. I think at the end I'm gonna have more breathing moments, so I will have more gaps when I'm gonna put just footage, if I have enough B-rolls, or maybe just drone footage, to be fair. But I want to let, you know, some sentences resonate. So I think also around this part, like after 5 minutes, which becomes less about the form and more about us in society, I think I want to leave more room around it. So I'm probably gonna like move these clips a bit to give more space. Anyway, this was just a short, well, it wasn't that short, I know the video is quite long, but I didn't guide you beginning to end through the process, but I just wanted to give you some tips from a documentary filmmaker that kind of see the editing process functional to the message. And if you think of that, I think the editing is gonna be really fun, okay? Because it's gonna be all connected. Next time you're gonna film someone, you're already thinking how it's gonna be in the editing room, what you're gonna need in the editing room, and also you know that every cuts you do are actually very strong potential sentences and clips that you can use separately for social media or for whatever formats. So I found this a very good way to still have a timeline with a clean vision of what you basically selected and choose. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I might do another one of these things, let's see. But yeah, thanks for watching again, and bye.